the Huns. Did they send me daughters when I asked for sons? You would have won the war way sooner if they had. Punch. How are you today, Belle?
I'm good. You know?
Good.
Yeah. Got some acupuncture today, you know?
That is a new thing you're doing.
It is.
Is it a male or female? Joe?
Female.
Very unisex name.
Yeah.
I was going to say Miss Joe, and then I panicked.
Yeah, Miss Joe.
I thought you had mentioned it was a woman, and then I went, what if it wasn't?
Yeah. Is this, like, older, purely cool woman? Like, she has, like, degrees in, like, legit things. Like, hard science. You know what I mean?
Like, more qualifications than Elon Musk?
Probably.
I know.
Is that hard to do, though?
Point taken. I receive it. I understand the information. I shall move on.
But yeah, no. She's just so cool. We talked about plants today, and she put some oil on my ankle after she did the little pokies, and it was sore to sore, like, and then she spelled it for me, like SORE to SOAR. I was like, oh, thank you, Joe.
No.
I love her. She's awesome. It helps, though.
I know, which I'm impressed with.
Yeah.
I'm not skeptical that acupuncture works.
Yeah.
I would like to be very clear. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is notoriously, essentially just a prescription. Essentially, when you get diagnosed, they're like, this is a prescription for pain for the rest of your life, and we have no cure and no treatment. Good luck.
Yeah. And
it comes with a bunch of other stuff that goes on. And so I'm so scared. Like, I want to try stuff like acupuncture, and then I'm like, but if I do it, and then I could hurt more. Because sometimes if I try stuff, it's worse.
And you could do it in just, like, one spot. Like, just one hand, rather than both or all over.
That might be a good plan. I have 90-year-old hands.
Yeah.
Which is not good for a
72-year-old ankle. So I feel you.
Just one?
Yeah.
You just got one bum ankle?
Yeah. She was looking at him and she's like, oh, this one. I was like, yeah, that's the one that hurts. She's like, yeah.
That's the problem, child. Yeah. She's a mess. She's a mess.
Yeah. I didn't think it was that obvious, but apparently it is.
Just said, the energy's not right around this one.
Wholeheartedly. And then she cupped my back. She's like, we need to keep it loose. I'm like, yes, we do, Joe. Yes, we do. Love her.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so hello, I'm Gina.
I'm Val.
And we're Illiterate-ly together. Yeah. And today we are talking about A Little Slice of Hell by Cleo Evans.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing today. We're just here. We're here to gossip with you about this book. We're gonna talk about the whole thing. Like literally the whole thing.
Yeah.
And like plot by plot point, we're gonna tell you everything that happens. Yeah. So if you want to read it, it's on KU. We don't love Jeff Bezos, but we do like getting mostly like cheap books and having them accessible to anyone that wants to participate in this with us and being able to get the very quickly. So that's why we use KU. So go ahead and hop over there if you want to read it before you hang out with us for a while. We're going to yap at you for a while. We like to.
We're good at.
Yeah, we're really good at it.
Yeah.
So we love to have you stick around and hang out.
Yeah. Please do.
Yeah. Also, like content trigger warnings for just this book. There's a ton of trigger warnings for this book, like bondage, CNC, mentions of SA, and more. So please be careful. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
This is also adult content because it's an adult book, and we are adults. But other than that, we're hanging out and we're gossiping about some books.
Yeah.
And whatever else our little brains want us to. We do have 4 college degrees between the two of us.
Yeah. Wild.
If we use them, it'll be interesting.
Sometimes they wildly come through.
The amount of times that your knowledge has been clutch in understanding things has been weirdly helpful.
Like the one time they were like, and then they ripped out their larynx or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the?
And I was like, I was vibing the whole time, and now I know that was incorrect.
Like, how?
Yeah, and so Belle is a speech language pathologist. That's what she does by day.
Yes.
And she's a superhero at night. And then sometimes she comes over here. I am a writer. And I have a degree in literature and business, but we don't talk about her.
Also, we're going to make an edit to that. You are a writer, not a writer. The way you said that.
I'm writing a lot right now, and now it feels like I'm a writer.
But it is awesome.
I am in the slug of my 4th draft of my book, and it is hard. It's hard. I am struggling.
I could not.
So we will get into it. So the way that we're going to do this is first we're going to start with star ratings. We will give you star ratings of the general public, i.e. Amazon and Goodreads. And then we'll give you our ratings. And then we decided on 5 sentences? 5 sentences. We get 5 sentences to explain our rating.
Okay.
And how we feel about the book.
Okay.
And then from there, we will go timeline, plot point by plot point.
We're going to eat it up.
We're going to tell you everything about this, 97-page novella, baby.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By A Little Slice of Hell by Cleo Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Amazon has a 4.1 star rating with 3,843 ratings.
Okay.
Goodreads has a 3.68 with 7,100 ratings.
Okay.
Pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
What did you rate it?
You might be surprised. I gave it a 2.5. I know.
You got 5 sentences. Ready?
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So the biggest thing is that I wished it was longer. It was very fast and lacked depth to me. Picturing the tail in 3D was an ick. The spice was good. It was good. The outdoor scene? That's it.
Interesting.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 4.
Okay.
There was a dog named Ghost, and I would die for him.
10 out of 5 right there.
Pretty much. I really liked Peter's character and the way his trauma processing was written. I need to know everything about this frickin' barista man.
2 more.
This doesn't count, but I yapped too much to only do 5 sentences. This is so hard. I didn't love the convenience of the vampire reappearance. I agree it was too short.
If this book was longer, which you rarely hear from me, if it was longer, I think it would have been a 4, maybe even 5 star.
This book was one that was like a majority spice, so I thought you were gonna like it more. So that was very intriguing to me that you gave it a 2. Are you changing preferences? Is something changing? Something has changed within me. Something is not the same.
Because my standards for a 3 has raised. It's no longer a meh, it's a 3.
Good. Good. That's what should happen.
Yeah.
The more you read, the more your standards change. That's a good thing.
It is. And although it was a lot of spice, and it was good spice, but it, with the story plot, I felt like the story deserved more percentage.
Deal. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it does. Yeah, for sure.
Can I get a hell yeah, brother? I read somewhere that instead of saying, does that make sense? I should be like, can I get a hell yeah?
Can I get a home, yeah? I feel like somebody needs to jump down the stairs now.
Oh, that was quick. That was early.
Goodness.
That was early. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm feeling with it.
I would like to say, overall, I think one thing that very much shaded my view of this in a good way, like very much swayed me towards a higher, I think, as somebody that has personally survived relationship essay,
Mm-hmm.
the trauma when going into a new relationship,
Mm-hmm.
this was very well handled in the way that Peter responds to it, in my opinion, and in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is something that I did like about this book, is that it kind of connects, like, he is not broken, he is not unlovable, and he is not constantly, like, shaded by those things, but they do affect the way in which you interact with the relationships and the world in general.
Yeah.
After those things happen to you. And I think that was really, really well placed within this book, and very well cared for.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like it was something that the survivor, like Peter as a survivor, was like very much like given space and cared for, which I appreciated and I really liked, and I thought that was one of the better done versions of that I've seen.
I agree. Like, the thought process of his emotional processing, I think that was very valid and done respectfully. I do think the like literally getting your throat slashed was a little over the top for like a background history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like getting pummeled. I don't know. I feel like just getting like beat up and like on the brink of death that way. But like getting literally like your throat cut and like almost drained of blood. Like,
I don't think it was cut. I think the vampire went into a frenzy and like ripped his throat out.
Ripped. Yeah. Like, I don't get how you come back from that. That part I could, like, I can see like the emotional progress after like relationship essay, but like the even further beyond that, like attempted murder, like I don't think it gets touched on that as much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think I do kind of wish there was a better timeline.
Yeah, because it said it took him a while to like, because he like made friends actively with people who are different than him to like get accustomed to like get over his fears.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give us a timeline. That hurt.
I don't know. Okay, let's get into like the timeline of the book.
Got it.
I have a really in-depth, detailed one, and you can kind of give us points within. Okay?
Okay.
So it starts, the prologue is in the barista's point of view. That mysterious man I would love to know more about. The barista has the ability to love match any and everybody. And Dante's there, who's asking for a pet to love and degrade. He is an incubus, and he has been searching eons for his mate, and cannot find him. And he found out about the barista, and the barista's got, like, I got you, boo-boo. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. You're not even the hardest person I've had to match. You're good. I got you. So then we move into chapter 1, which is Peter's point of view, who is fully human and nervous, because he indicates he had bad history with supernatural paranormal folk. Peter desperately wants to be loved and cared for. The meeting is electric with immediate attraction. Dante states his species immediately, which I loved.
Yeah.
Essentially, like, they meet and he's like, hey, I'm Dante. I'm an incubus.
Yeah.
Based on the way you're looking at me, you might already know that, but I'm an incubus. and Peter's like, hi, I'm Peter. I'm a human. I don't know. I'm a human. Like, not everybody in the Monster Cafe knows that he's a human.
Yeah.
Which I thought was adorable. Dante then, like, interprets, because Peter's like, oh my god, this is the hottest man I've ever seen in my whole life. This is the hottest man I've ever seen in my whole life. And Dante's like, oh no, he's nervous. You don't have to be nervous. It's okay. And he, like, orders I can't say it. It's the Americano with blood in it. And, like, shows his fangs. And then Peter's a little bit nervous. But he's still like, oh my god, this is the hottest man I've ever seen. Hottest man I've ever seen. And so Peter's really honest, which I love. I love about Peter. He's like, yeah, I mean, I am nervous, but, like, we're on a first date, so, like, that's kind of normal. And also, you are the hottest man ever. This is a lot. And I like all of it. We find out that Dante's 10,000 years old, which I hate. I hate the age gap because Peter's 27.
Yeah.
But somehow Dante likes this human period the most.
I think it's the convenience.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. And then...
And the smells. It probably smells better.
True. There's also, like, a lot of, like, instant... Man. I'll just got another text message during the podcast. It's now a routine. There's also, like, a lot of instant, like, hormones and feelings that happen. Like, you look at your phone, and I get instant rage. And he can feed off this.
As you should.
So one drink and a little noise later, and all of a sudden Peter is pinned to a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
As he should be.
And then immediately Dante's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't... Still pinning Peter to the wall. Oh, sorry. That was just a little... It's been a while. That's just a little much for me. I'm a little overwhelmed. And they're still pinning Peter to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, so, like, what do you want from this? How you feeling, bro? You want to be, like, roommates?
They're not 5 feet apart.
No.
You know what that means.
They're also not sitting in a hot tub.
They're not.
They're not. So, Peter's mostly honest, and Dante is also honest. Hang on, let me give you the receipts. Also, I highlighted the information about Dante's tail, which is incredibly... Honestly, Dante had a tail, one with a heart shape at the point, ridges on every couple inches, all covered with smooth red skin. That is kind of upsetting to think about.
'Cause, like, on a flat piece of paper, a heart point looks cute, looks fun. You think about it 3-dimensional, it just... And you don't want it too pointy. So, like, because it's like a heart this way, right? Yeah. So then it's just like a weird dome.
I hate thinking of domes. I just don't like the word dome.
Dome. I'm so sorry.
I just keep thinking of his hat that was always on screen.
Yeah.
Okay, we already need to leave. We're in chapter 1. We need to leave. Okay, so the highlight is, I had my life together, but I wanted to be with someone that would bring all my deep, dark fantasies to life. And Dante says, I want someone I can love, someone I can control, someone that can be my pet, that will let me do all the things I want to do with them. I take delight in violence and giving pain, but also take delight in giving the most painful pleasure possible. Does that sound good to you? Can you really be with a monster, Peter? And then Dante takes Peter for a walk. Dun dun.
Walk.
And we hit chapter 2. Chapter 2 is Dante's POV. And you immediately get Dante going, oh my god! It feels like a girl at a Justin Bieber concert. He's like, I can't handle it. I can't. I've never felt this way before. I'm gonna die. He's like, I can't help myself. I'm feeding on all his hormones, on all his feelings. He is so cute. I love him so much. He's so cute. One of the super cool things that we find out is Dante looks like himself, like his true form to Peter.
Yeah, but no one else.
To no one else.
Yeah.
Wild power.
Glamour.
Usually glamour is like universal though.
Yeah.
So that's wild.
But when you've been around the block
10,000
times, you probably get a hang of it.
I know, right? That's so wild though. I thought that was super cool. I've never, like, no fantasy book usually is like, but this one person can see who I truly am.
Yeah.
I can see who you truly are, which is ugly.
We're done. Oh, classic.
They just like talk to each other in first date slang and are like, what's your favorite color? Yellow, blue. Oh, that's so amazing.
But then at the park.
Well, and Dante keeps thinking, I'm going to have him forever, so I'll get what... If Peter doesn't answer the questions that I want him to, I'll just get the information out of him later. Not creepy at all. That's fine. It's all good.
That man said, I'm in at first look.
Yeah, for sure. Because he gets consent that Peter's down for a relationship.
Yeah.
First, he's like, are you sure you want to do this? Because if you do this, this is the end all be all. Do you want to do this? And Peter's like, yeah, sure. And then he's like, do you want to bang in a public park? And he's like, yeah,
yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Which is, he's like, the taboo of doing this. That's illegal.
Yeah.
It's fully illegal.
But when you have a glamour.
But because he's like, there's people coming now. Yeah, because it's illegal. Because it's fully illegal, bro. And he bites Peter during the act. Which Peter's like, oh, this responds really well to. Because you find out that his bite, like the incubus's bite, unlike a vampire's bite, is addicting and like causes, like induces like really like happy
like
hormones.
Euphoria.
Yeah. They glamour him to go home. Chapter 3, Peter's POV. You find out Dante is loaded. That man has money. Yeah. Money. He's got a great car. He's got a mansion. But for some reason, he got roommates. They were roommates.
It has to be kind of more of like a bond thing. Because you know that house is paid off. There's no mortgage on that.
He's 10,000 years old. If he didn't,
Yeah.
If he didn't like start a bank.
That's one thing I think about in like fantasy with like really old people. Like there's a paper trail. Unless you're just like killing yourself off
and forging shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and he also lives with a dragon shifter, and they have hordes.
And
you know
Minotaur.
He's got money.
Minotaur.
Yeah, and the Minotaurs guard the maze, which means that they also have money. The labyrinth. Because there's prizes in the labyrinth, I think, or just monsters. I don't know actually the Greek myth. It's been a long time. Peter's a little overwhelmed, especially when he finds out that Dante meant they were moving in together immediately, never to be parted. And he's like, "Whoa, dude! I thought we were just gonna be like together. I like told you I had my own life.
Yeah.
And you
not anymore.
Yeah. And this is also where we meet Ghost.
Yes.
Who is a mix of a hellhound and a Great Pyrenees. And huge. Like the size of a whole person. Mm-hmm. And I would die for him.
As you should.
I love him so much. He's so cute. Hello, this is editing Gina. Our video feed cut off. And we didn't realize it because the camera had died. And so what the context you're missing is we talked a little bit more about chapter 3, but it's really not much. Dante and Peter get to his room and he meets the dragon shifter roommate. We did not say much else. And then we can go into the end of chapter 3. So at the end of chapter 3, the spice returns.
Yes.
And we get Peter standing entirely still until Dante returns. At least he's supposed to. And
but
then,
he doesn't.
No. And then Dante goes, hee hee. Because chapter 4 is Dante's point of view, and he goes, I just turned into shadows and hid in the corner.
He said, I waited and waited.
I'm going to see what he does.
He held on pretty long, though.
He did.
To his credit.
He did start screaming at one point. He was like, come back. What are you doing? What is this?
Yeah.
And then when Peter disobeys the standing still order, there's ropes and hoists and pulleys above a tub involved, which is very interesting. So Peter is bound and hoisted above the tub, while Dante's just like, this is a nice chandelier I have.
I believe it's called rigging.
I do believe we learned that in one of our other books.
Yeah. There's like the practice of it. There's another word of it. It's like she something. My brain stopped. But yeah.
I did like that there was a lot of checking in on, like, there's a very good spot at the end of chapter 4 where Dante's like checking in not only on, he's like, Peter, if anything feels numb, you tell me right now so that we can like fix it. But also he's like, how are you mentally feeling? Like, where are you at? Like, are you doing okay? Like, everything needs to be okay before we continue. Which I really liked, that we're checking in multiple times. Yes. Things change and emotions change.
Yes.
And then we move into chapter 5. And it's in Peter's point of view. And he's loving it. He said, I will be a chandelier all the time. I just like being a chandelier. And then he's deep throating Dante's tail. And then Dante's like, all right, I gotta get you down. I can feel your hunger. And he's like, yeah, you can. And he's like, no, you need actual food. You need, like, food. And Peter's
substance.
Like, oh. And then he's like, wait, hang on a second. What about you? What do you eat? And he's like, I just blood. I eat blood.
Well, and he eats
feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Peter feels some type of way about that for a second.
It was, I don't want to say trauma response, but it was definitely trauma influenced. For sure.
And then pretty much immediately after that, he's untied. And Dante's like, you're going to feel a lot of things, so just be careful. He's untied, and he does feel a lot of things. And that's where we get the backstory. That he's essayed and almost killed by a vampire named Vlad.
Of course it's Vlad.
Peter thinks that the vampire is dead.
He was told it was dead, which is why he thinks that.
Yeah.
Because that's what the barista told him.
True. And so, actually, forgive me, that happens. He's untied before he realizes that Dante feeds off blood. And that's when he freaks out. And he's like, get off me, get off me, get off me. And Dante just, like, holds him down. He's like, no, this is not how we handle this. This is not, nope.
This is not how we handle feelings.
You're going to talk to me, tell me what's going on. What did I do wrong? What can we change? Peter calms down and gives him the short version of the vampire events. And then proceeds to fall asleep. And they're all good. In chapter 6 is when Peter falls asleep and Dante texts the barista to find out that the vampire is not dead. But the barista's like, don't worry, he can't hurt.
Gotcha.
He can't hurt Peter again. Like, I put him in the cell myself. But vampires are really hard to kill.
Gotcha.
There's that weird scene, the weird random scene where, like, Dante's forced to try the soup that has a bunch of weird stuff in it, including ghost pepper sauce.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that part.
Do you think it was just an introduction of the roommates?
I think so, because they all have books.
Yeah.
After. So I'm assuming so. But I hate it when they're, like, very inserty like that, where it, like, just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird.
Yeah. I get you.
And then Peter wakes up and walks out and seduces Dante. And we find out that his tail is just as sensitive as other parts of him during sex. Which makes the tail even weirder.
Yeah. The ridges for me on the tail are what make it, like, I guess because he's an incubus, it makes sense. But, like, thinking of, like, evolution-wise, why it would be rigid. No, ridged. That sounds wrong. Not, like, dirty. It just sounds...
Yeah. Ridged is, like, to have ridges on it. Rigid is, like...
Yeah.
firm.
But, like, there's multiple. So it's not just ridged once. You know what I mean? That's where, like, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I hate English. I hate English so hard.
I'm not saying it doesn't suck, but I am saying it's right.
I hate English.
Chapter 7. This is the consent, non-consent chapter. That's like a scene that plays out. This is where the consent, non-consent stuff happens. There's also blood play and like a piercing situation that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
This is also where Dante says he's fully in love with Peter. And Peter goes, oh, I was not scared of any of this other stuff that we did. That was very hardcore. But you said you love me and I'm out.
That's it.
I'm out.
Can't.
So scared that he sneaks out while Dante's asleep and is never seen again. That is where Dante falls asleep.
And that
After
doesn't
they're
make
together.
sense.
Why doesn't it make sense?
It doesn't make sense because I'm trying to remember if because he knew he was going too fast.
Dante?
Yeah.
I don't think he, like, fully, like, cared.
Well, caring and knowing are two different things.
It makes sense to me because Peter pretends to be okay with it. And also, for a while after this, Dante is still convinced that it's the sex that drove Peter away.
No.
Yeah.
Not for a long time, though.
Until he sees it, until the vampire, yeah. There's literally, like, yeah.
In chapter 8, it says, it hadn't been the rough sex, the bondage, or the blood that had made him run, it had been me saying I loved him. Page 65 for the viewers. And then because then it says, I wanted to be mad, but I couldn't. I was intimidating and a little bit insane. I had been searching for him for so long. I hadn't taken into account that a day of passion might not be enough to make him feel the same way. No, because even before he fell asleep, I'm pretty sure he had, like, an inkling.
Okay, but he still has to sleep, so what the hell is he going to do?
I don't know.
What? He already said it.
Why does he have to sleep? He's an incubus.
What does that mean? He doesn't have body? He eats.
Maybe. I don't know. It's fantasy. We can make him not sleep.
We didn't write it.
That's true.
Also, like, Dante has a lot of feelings. He's not controlling. Like, actively controlling.
Mm-hmm.
He's not.
No.
So why would he stay awake to, like, body block Peter from leaving?
No, it just... To me, Dante thinks everything through. Like, in my brain, that's the kind of person Dante is.
I do not agree. Dante's an idiot.
I don't agree. I feel like he's one of those ones...
Dante said I love you with 3 seconds of thought.
Yes. And
so he thought that through?
To me, he should have had the forethought to be like, oh shit. Like, I don't know. I didn't like that he just fell asleep.
It's the same thing as, like, in the park, the way he said it. He said the consent thing. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, do you want to be mine forever? And while also actively seducing Peter, and Peter being like, yeah, like, I want to be your boyfriend. Yeah, I'm down. And then being confused when Peter was like, what do you mean I'm moving in? We didn't sign a contract. Dante doesn't know. Dante is not that smart.
See, I took it in a different way. I took it in as, like, he knew he was moving too fast, but he just didn't care. But then at times he was, like, super aware of everything he was doing and I don't know.
Because it's also confusing to other people around him, seeing as there's shit, like, when he's talking to his roommates in the last chapter, he goes, I grabbed him by the collar and pulled him and startling him. Only I call him pet. He's my mate, you fuckwad. He will live here for eternity with me and love me until the end of time.
Yeah.
Both of which are about him. He will live here with me and love me until the end of time. Mm-hmm. Neither of which are about Peter. Neither of which are about what Peter wants. Mm-hmm. Or what Peter wants to do. Or loving Peter. He didn't say, only I get to call him pet and I will love him until the end of time.
Yeah.
Or I get to care for him until the end of time. Dante cares for Peter, yes. Dante doesn't really understand what love is. He knows what lust is.
Yeah.
But I don't think he really understood the repercussions of saying, I love you. Mm-hmm. Because he had never had any experience with it before. He said it. He said, I've never loved anyone. Mm-hmm. And so, like, saying that and then not understanding how Peter would react to it.
Yeah.
Because Peter reacted the way he did because he's like, the last time someone loved me, they tried to kill me. And he didn't have that information.
Yeah. And it fully makes sense what Peter did. But for some reason, it just, I don't know.
Because, like, Dante didn't have that information, though. Like, we knew about the vampire. Dante didn't know. All Peter told him was the last guy that, like, there was a vampire that I knew that essayed and tried to kill me. That's it. It was like a sentence. Mm-hmm. He didn't know the details. He didn't know that they were together. Yeah. He didn't know that it was a relationship and there was love involved. He had no idea.
Yeah.
So, like, it can't, like, Dante couldn't have known that, like, this horrible thing was related to love. And then this bumbling idiot is just like, I love you. And then Peter's like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta go. And then he goes, and then Dante's like, but I love you. But we had a great night. We had a great night together. I don't understand. I love you.
No. It didn't. It was a choice I would not have made to just fall asleep right after. I don't know. There was something about it that was just like
They do mention that it's not right after. That like Peter keeps up an act to wait until he falls asleep. He says, I love you, Peter. My lips parted and I wasn't able to say anything. He smiled even broader, then turned away, closing his eyes. He didn't care if I answered. I couldn't answer. Love that was scarier than any of the things he couldn't possibly love me. I watched him fall asleep with that smile on his face all the while panic gripped me.
Yeah. Like he fell asleep that like there was no space in between. Like,
I waited until his breathing became deep and then I slowly slid out of bed.
Yeah. Like it felt weird that he just fell asleep.
Right above it says the demented sex-hungry incubus stared at me like a star-struck lover. His smile sweet. I love you. I know I do. This feeling, I've never felt it before. I love you, Peter. It's kind of like that, like, blissed out thing.
Yeah.
And they like, the sex they had before this was different. Dante mentions different than he's ever had with anybody before.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes, I think it makes sense only because I think you're giving Dante too much credit. Valid. Because I think
the differences.
I think it gives Dante too much credit in the fact that you're thinking that he's saying I love you to Peter for both of them. Dante's not saying I love you to Peter for both of them. He's not saying it as a relationship thing. He's saying it for himself. Yeah. He knows that he loves Peter, so he's going to say it, and it does not matter how it affects the other person. But it makes him incredibly happy, so he can go to sleep like a baby. Yeah. Because he doesn't realize how it affects the other person.
Which I think that's where it doesn't make sense to me, because normally when you're an incubus or when you're in the more dominant role, you pick up on things. You pick up on emotions a little better. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's and boo 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 boo. Like I froze blinking. Like obviously like he looked shook. And with all the good closed loop communication that happened before this, that's where I'm like, he just went to sleep without closing the communication loop.
I kind of get that. The only thing I can think is like, so what kind of made sense in my head is he's an incubus, so he deals in other people's feelings a lot. Mm-hmm. And as it has been kind of pointed out in multiple places in the book, he is kind of an unfeeling bastard. Mm-hmm. And like, this is a very big feeling. Yeah. And like, to me, this feeling is overshadowing a feeling I've never felt before, and is a really happy feeling, is overshadowing anything that I could pick up from anybody else, anything that I could, like, anything else going on. It mm-hmm. doesn't matter. It's just this overwhelming feeling of love, and I don't care. And it's not like a callous, I don't care, I want to hurt you. It's more of mm-hmm. I don't care because I feel so, like, everybody has to feel this, and if I say it out loud, everybody's gonna feel it. Mm-hmm. But, like, he can't see past his own emotion because he doesn't usually feel emotions. Yeah. That's what I thought. Like, that's how it kind of felt to me. Just because... But you saw Dante in a different light than I did. Yeah. And to me, he was just kind of, like, an unfeeling... Like... He wasn't a bad guy. He was just, like, kind of unfeeling and kind of dumb. Mm-hmm. But in a way that wasn't, like... Not, like, book smarts dumb, but, like, dumb in the way of, like, I don't really get humans. I'm just gonna take their feelings. Mm-hmm. That's what I get from them. That's all I need. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need that human piece of me. Yeah. I don't need a human piece of me. And he got a little human piece of him, and then he was like, okay, I need to go to the barista and find somebody to love me. But he, again, only asked for a pet.
Yeah.
And so, like, he didn't really ask for this kind of all-consuming love. Or if he, like, when he did, he didn't really understand it.
I think he bit off more than he could chew.
For sure.
Because he wanted Endgame. To
me, this writing specifically with, like, Dante, because I kind of saw this coming with Dante doing this was writing of, like, don't forget he's a monster.
Yeah.
Don't forget he's a monster and he's not human. Don't forget he doesn't know how to feel feelings. Like, don't forget. I think it was excellently, like, written? No. Because I think there are, like, inconsistencies in the way that they communicate. I don't think it was, like, beautifully and masterfully written, but it was something that did more align with his character in the way that I viewed his character.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think of him as you said, like, he thought everything through.
Yeah. Like,
he should be perched on the edge of the bed, Hawkeyeing fucking Peter.
Twilight that shit. I'm gonna watch you while you sleep.
This is the skin of a monster.
Literally.
I see where you're coming from in that aspect. I just don't.
Because, like,
I feel like that gives more credit to the writing.
Yeah.
Than what I feel like it had. Because I don't disagree that it was convenient that he fell asleep. But this whole vampire part is incredibly convenient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this man's had the ability to break out of prison, which is what happens in chapter 9, and conveniently happens to do it right at... Because he happened to hear that Peter was with a new guy. First of all, how did you hear that?
How?
Second of all, how did he know Peter was still alive?
Yeah.
If he was in a hole somewhere, how did he know Peter was still alive?
Where is he getting his gossip?
Why is Peter not in witness protection?
Period.
I don't care if he's dead. And then, like, Vlad himself made no sense.
Yeah. No.
Vlad was like, oh my God, you're cheating on me. And then he's like, I'm going to sell you to somebody. I said, excuse me? Huh? Make that make sense. Make that make sense right now.
Yeah, it was very much like an ownership thing. Which is icky.
Which is disgusting. And that's the point. He's a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, make it icky. That's great. Because bad guys should be icky. But also, make it make sense. Because if it's an ownership thing, why are you selling him? If you broke out of prison and you're going to kill him because no one else can have him, why are you going to sell him into sex slavery?
Because it's his choice to share him. Like, it's Vlad's choice to share him.
No.
It wasn't Pete's choice. Peter.
No.
But, yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It very much... Up until that point, there was depth and there was, like, quality buildup. And then it was just like, bam! Pre-cut sticker. And I'm like, ugh. Like, it just ruined it for me.
Literally until, like, once Dante fell asleep and Pete slipped out, I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was hoping the next chapter was going to be Pete's point of view. And we were going to get, like, we don't even get his kidnapping.
No.
None of it.
No.
I was on board until the end. Because, like...
He just wakes up in a chair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm chill with him. Like, him leaving makes sense.
Yeah, it wholeheartedly made sense.
And I, like, the way he left, I think it was fine. Like, whatever. Like, But I hate hate that they were like, the climax of the story must be the vampire coming back. I'm like, you couldn't even make it one of his cronies, bro.
Well, and then we don't even get to see the fight, really.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like...
And he fully rips him apart.
Yeah!
The first thing he does is rip his jaw off.
Beautiful.
Beautiful work.
Amazing. I want to see more. What else are we ripping?
Then the Minotaur's like, I'm going to take Pete out of here. And we're not in Dante's point of view.
No. For all the good stuff, we're not in their point of views.
Mm-mm.
And I don't know. It made me sad. I wanted more.
And then the inconsistency for me, like, I felt Dante was consistent. You got me fucked up. This falling asleep really is the point of, like, fucking
exactly
stuff. Like, is really the point of, like,
where it's just like, wait, what's happening?
Because, like, I do think everything made a sense up until he falls asleep. It's
yes.
After everybody wakes up that everything's a mess.
Yes.
Because, like, the way Dante acts towards Pete after, I hate.
Yes.
I hate.
None of it made true sense. Like, it just... Like, they had me for the long time, and then it just, like, flipped, and I'm like, wait, what's happening?
I don't understand why Dante... Vlad's gross and tells Peter all these things in chapter 9, and then Dante, like, shows up because in the chapter before, Dracon, his, like, dragon shifter roommate, has, like, sniffed Peter's shirt or something and, like, gone and found him. And so they find him and they show up and they kill Vlad. Kill him dead. Light him on fire. And Peter's like, I'm sorry. Like, I shouldn't have left. I'm so, so sorry. And Dante keeps, like, cutting him off and stopping him from saying anything. Giving no reassurances. Just being, like, pretty much entirely silent.
Yeah.
And then is like, get in the car, we're going home. And Peter's like, okay, like, what about the other guys? And they're like, they don't need to come home for a while. And so, like, they go home, and he's like, we're gonna do a cat and mouse game.
Hide and seek. So
that I feel better. Again, Dante, selfish person. Yeah. But also...
Which doesn't make sense because he was so considerate before.
Yeah. And, like, Peter having to think, yeah, I can't imagine from his point of view, I have been kidnapped.
Yep.
By the man that almost murdered me and then once again attempted to murder me. But I can't imagine from his point of view losing someone that I've looked eons for and had for one day.
Yeah. The second half of the book just kind of flopped for me. Yeah. Like, and I lost interest. Like, it took me forever to finish the last, like, the epilogue. The eulogy.
The eulogy? That's the new one. That's the eulogy.
Like, it just... Can
we talk about the piercing?
Yes. That was wild. I did not expect that. Also, was that sanitary?
He used alcohol wipes.
I
don't think you're supposed to, like, do anything for, like, weeks after you pierce.
Yeah, I don't know about the upkeep of that, but, like, I've seen it before where, like, they'll do, like, lace back piercings. Have you seen those before?
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, like, it's, like, some of it can be part of rigging.
I'm putting that whole pause in because I can't.
Yeah,
we all need to just hold space for that for a minute. Because what did you just say to me?
So they, like, make temporary piercings in the back using, like, they'll pierce it, put hoops.
I thought you were talking about, never mind.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about a different part of the anatomy where you would do a lace back piercing.
No, that's the Jacob's ladder. But like on the back, they'll like even like I think I've read things where they'll do like the labia even like within like play. I'm like, that's not for me, but okay.
The bravery that must take. Who was the first person to do that?
I don't know. I always wonder that with a lot of things. But like, and like, I'm not opposed to piercings. I have lots of ear piercings. But like,
I want to get my nose pierced.
I've started to think about it.
Every time I go to
can't.
Every time I go to do that, I just hear my mom in my head going, "It looks like a booger."
Oh, my mom's always like, you can have any piercing you want, just not on your face. I was like, okay. And then like, I don't know. I'm just nervous. I barely wear like my lobes because like I don't know what these dementia patients are gonna do. They might. You talking about not knowing, like not letting them know your next move. I don't know their next move.
They don't even know their
next
next
move. They really
don't.
They really don't. Bless them.
Dante can get people pregnant. We can't. Here's the thing. Here's my thing. This is wild to me. Okay, because I've thought about this before. Because this is absolutely insane. I have 2 biological children.
Yes.
I've grown them in my body and pushed them out.
Yes.
So,
how, Peter?
The mental, like, just wildness that you kind of go through in pregnancy. Like, when we were trying and stuff, I had to, like, prepare myself for it. But there's, like, this automatic layer that you kind of know, like, as a woman, like, you can get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have sex or you'll get pregnant and die.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
All of those things are true, just not in that order. So, like, you know that, like, you can get pregnant. So you're, like, prepared for how your body could react. Because I think everyone that owns a uterus, no matter how they identify, has at one point looked up some kind of, like, pregnancy related something and then been like, oh God, oh no. So to be a man,
all the fail safes, you're still like, is it gonna happen?
Yeah, to be a man,
yeah,
and to get pregnant, I couldn't. And like men are wonderful or whatever, but like, I don't think they could mentally handle it.
No,
like, I'm not gonna lie,
no.
I don't think they could. And I'm not talking about, like, I'm not talking about anybody that identifies as trans or, like, non-binary. I'm talking about people that, like
cis males,
cis men.
Yeah.
Generally, like, specifically, like, cis white men.
Yeah.
Could not do it.
No.
Like, could not handle it. And it's, like, not full shade. It's just, like, the reality of, like, not being prepared in any way. And then all of a sudden being like, I'm not going to just move your organs. I'm 28 years old. I have acne for the first time in my life.
Crazy. Because
I gave birth and it was a year later. And you are not postpartum from pregnancy until 3 years after you give birth. Which 3 years. I still have another year until I'm fully postpartum for my last baby.
That's crazy.
Which is insane. Where does the baby come out of?
Literally, on my timeline, I said, I'm so nosy. How are they pregnant? How is it going to happen? And it just, like...
Is it just a C-section? Like, do you have to get a C-section?
Where is the baby growing? How is it getting nutrients? The belly button.
Yeah, because, like, you don't want it free floating.
Yeah.
And, like, because you're, like, in your uterus, your, like, placenta attaches.
Yeah, to the wall.
Yeah, that's how you have a dinner plate-sized wound in your organ after you give birth.
Which, like, no offense, but also offense. A lot of guys don't know how to take care of themselves.
For sure, yeah.
And, like, how are you going to take care of yourself and something growing inside of you responsibly?
And not only that, like, all of the men that I know would never be able to cope with being able to, like, being not able to do things that they really wanted to do, either by doctor's orders or just because the fetus inside of you has decided that's horrible. I don't eat pickles anymore. I used to eat them by the jarful. Like, I loved pickles. I was a huge fan of pickles. Pickles made me sick with both of my pregnancies, and now I cannot eat pickles. Still to this day. Magdalena is 2. And I cannot eat pickles. I don't like pickles. I think they're gross. I don't want them.
I'm sorry for you.
That's wild, though. Like, that's insane. Like, it's kind of a neutral thing. It's not really that big of a deal. I don't care that I don't like pickles anymore. But it's weird.
Yeah. Like, how much your body changes in odd ways. Also, the fact that, like, even when you're not feeling good, you still have to get things done.
I had hyperemesis gravidum with my oldest, with Evie, and I threw up everything, including water.
Yeah.
Including water. I was hospitalized twice to get IV fluids and nutrients because I literally could not keep anything in my stomach. The amount of extra things that go on with pregnancy, my hair is different. I lose hair by the handfuls on the daily. You lose and you gain so many things, but you lose so many things. My DNA is quite literally changed.
Yeah.
And, like, that's wild. And I don't think anybody really prepares you for that. But it's even more so, like, as somebody who doesn't care and isn't constantly dealing with periods, so you don't know how to take care of yourself postpartum.
Yeah.
Somebody who isn't constantly dealing with, like, the cramps from periods. I had endometriosis pain. Thank God, actually, because the, like, labor and, like, Braxton Hicks pain, the only way I was able to, like, deal with it and function was because I've had such terrible cramps my whole life. Like, I can't, like, there's no way any man I know would know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
And because it's a pain that's, like, so internal.
Yeah.
That you're, like, I can't imagine, like, never having an internal organ hurt.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, because, like, this is not shade. This is, like, legitimate.
Yeah.
Never having an internal organ hurt. And then all of a sudden having an internal organ hurt. And not, like, a stomach ache.
No.
A cramp. Like, hurt. Like a period.
Yeah.
You would think you were dying.
Yeah.
You would think you were dying. And that's, like, legit. And pregnancies that, like, Braxton Hicks are like that. Like, you would be at the hospital 24/7, like.
Yeah.
And are, like, monsters out?
What?
Are monsters, like, out and about? That I don't know that about this world. Like, are they around?
I don't think so.
Because, like, that is a man pregnant with fully men parts, has never had a uterus. Can he go to a hospital?
I don't know.
Like, how are we delivering this baby?
I got so many questions.
Is Draco getting the little talon out and just cut it across the hole for the C-section? That's 11 layers.
C-section. Well, and then they have to take intestines out.
Yeah, move them around.
Yeah, you just put them in a bucket on the side.
I'm so glad I didn't have to do that. C-section moms, those are a different breed. That's so brave.
Yeah, could not.
I'd be like, let me die. I can't.
Yeah. No, could not.
That's so scary. Being awake during that surgery, terrifying. I've given birth, and I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I was, like, told it's very possible for me to have like a C-section because I was gonna have to be induced, and I was like, no. With my second one, they gave me the option to schedule my C-section when I was like 18 weeks pregnant, and I was like, no. I would rather jump off a bridge. I will not be doing that.
It's terrifying.
No, thank you. I will not be doing that. That's so scary. I can't.
Talking about men having periods and everything, there's this like, I don't know what they are on Instagram, but they have like a pregnancy simulator. Not pregnancy. Period cramp simulator. I love seeing men crumble.
The TENS machine.
Yes, I love seeing men crumble under that.
So fast. They crumble so fast.
Oh yeah. It's like a 3 and they're like, oh my god. And I'm like, a 3? We be walking down the road getting Starbucks on a 3. You know?
That's true.
Like.
That's true. Do you want to talk about? I have an extra topic book. It's like sort of book news.
Sure. Yeah. What's up?
It's not really super book news, but it does have a book related note, and it is related to men being dumb.
Oh, I love to see it.
So, it was a YouTube video I saw on a TikTok apology. The TLDR is this TikTok creator by the name of Jordan Tan, who creates like content calling out men's behavior and lifestyle stuff. She's like very chill, but very like Drew follow type stuff. Was kind of like, she's just chilling. And this interesting to say the least man named J-Mac, also known as Jack McIntosh, sent her a voice DM on TikTok. I didn't even know that was possible. With his friend, asking her to meet up for a coffee. They're Aussie, I do believe. Or New Zealand, but I think they're Aussie. And discuss her point of view because he thinks she may be wrong about men. She just responds with way more kindness than me, thinking he may want to like collab or show her point of view to his audience. Like maybe that's why he's sending this DM. Bro doubles down by condescending to her that she might just not understand in the voice note. She gets on TikTok, she posts them. Then comes the interesting part of the story. Because are we surprised by a white man in a men's mental health space at this point? No. He makes this crazy apology video, which you might have seen, of him bawling. Bro is crying. Like, doing that thing where you cry into your hand. And stating that he's just a guy. That is a quote from this apology. And he's literally, because, like, Jordan has, like, given him, she's like, because he's like, I just need to understand your opinion. She's like, I think you just need to understand. So, like, I'll send you, she sent him links to, like, books that he should read. Yeah. Podcasts he should listen to. Broseph says, I just don't know what it is about books, but I've never read books. I've never read a book in my life. Jordan has kindly declined his offer and suggested that he read literature by women in order to get his perspective he's looking for. She sent links. Literally links.
Yes.
And he say he may have a fear of reading books in the apology. However, despite that, he continues to indicate that he is educated enough to have discourse on the topic of how men treat women.
So he only wants to talk with other men about how men treat women.
Jordan's a woman.
No, I know.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't want to talk to her.
No, he doesn't want to talk to her.
He does not want to talk to her.
No.
He only cares about he doesn't view women as people.
No, not at all. At one point in the apology, he's like bawling and his friend comes in and gives him a hug. Because he's having a hard mental health day.
I do love the friendly support. I do love that. I don't think
it's the same friend that was on the voice note to Jordan Tan telling her that she might be wrong about men.
We don't like that.
And her, like, I watched some of her content. It's not rude.
Yeah.
It's like, it's very much like, bro.
Like, check yourself.
Yeah, like, it's calling out men, but it's kind of like calling out just like general horrendous behavior.
Yeah.
Like, we wilding out here, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really understand. Like, it just was horrible. And this got like super, like a lot of traction. I actually saw, I think it was Film Cooper that did the video. And I just
love that man.
I love that man too. He's hilarious. But I was like, I can't. I can't. And then he goes, I don't know what it is. I may have a fear of books, but I've just never read a book in my life. I said, bro, start.
That man can't read.
Look, we're American.
That's why he voiced message.
Because he couldn't write. Shit.
Oh, that was so good. Okay, I'm happy.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I was going to say, we're Americans, so we don't have a lot of room to talk in our public school systems.
Yeah.
There's no way. No, I think that gives us actually more credit in this space. There's no way Australian public school systems are that bad.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm Jared, I'm 19, and I never learned how to read. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Bro is lying.
How do you have a fear of books?
Yeah, hang on. I have my computer. I'm gonna Google.
Can we send him books?
Can we P.O. box him books? Bibliophobia is a specific phobia, anxiety disorder characterized by an intense, irrational fear of books, potentially including the act of reading, holding them, or even placing books.
If you have that, I'm sorry. But, like, if they're links to, like, articles and shit, that's not a book.
No, they were, like, links to buy books, I think. How to overcome your fear of books. The fear of reading.
There's no way. There's no way that man feels that.
It mostly refers to a fear of reading or reading out loud or in public.
That I get. That I fully get.
Many people have only a subset of this phobia, fearing textbooks or historical novels or children's stories, rather than a fear of all books. Mythophobia, or a fear of legends, can be considered a type of bibliophobia. Metrophobia is a fear of poetry. That's the gayest thing I've heard. And I say that with my whole heart and my whole chest. That's the gayest shit I've ever. Metrophobia is the fear of poetry. Every slam poet I know is going to write a slam poetry about that.
As they should.
As they should.
A haiku about metrophobia. It has to be rage bait.
I think it was just a bad way to, like, save face. I do have to say, like, metrophobia, like, bibliophobia can be a real thing. Like, it's scary, like, if you were made fun of for reading or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just can't get over, like, for him to be like, I need to engage with all of these people, but I refuse to do so in the easiest way to engage with as many people as possible, which is through written word, through stories they have written for years.
Yeah.
That's what's weird to me, because that's like his whole thing is like he does things that make him uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, if you're scared of books, then fucking read one, bro. If you're here to do things that make you uncomfortable, read a book. Read a book.
Also, how does mansplaining the relationship between gender inequality to a woman, how does that make him uncomfortable?
This is very much like, this is giving not all men.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, speaking of slam poetry, one of my favorite slam poetries, one of the lines in one of my favorite slam poetries is, real men don't rape. oh shit, must have been a ghost then. And it's one of those things that, like, not all men do all these things. Mm-hmm. Oh shit, must not have been a man then. Yeah. No, that's not true. Like, it can't, like, oh shit, must have been a ghost then. Yeah. Like, there's never a point in which the argument, not all men, makes it so the things that happened didn't happen. Yeah. Or that are, like, certain arguments aren't valid.
It's taking away responsibility.
For sure.
And it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't address the actual issue.
But I do enjoy the fact that they were like, wait, but we're awesome, so it can't be all men. And then it's like, no, you're being creepy and weird, and the whole internet now thinks so. And then he was like, you guys are bullying me. And I have to say, I don't condone bullying for children.
Correct.
I do think maybe we should have bully more adult men.
Correct. They deserve it.
Just slightly. Nothing too mean. But just tell him that, like, his left eyebrow is just, like, a little bit bigger than his right eyebrow. But, like, a lot of times.
My favorite, psychological warfare. You gotta go there.
That's so much more intense than what I said.
I love it. I love it. I'm here for it. Do it.
I just want to be, like, a little bit mean to people that are, like, really mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave lasting trauma. Do it.
And then
do it.
I said be mean about his eyebrows. You said traumatize him.
Yeah. Because being kind of mean to them probably will traumatize them. Because they're not used to it.
True. Yeah, they usually have, like, a full fallout.
Yeah. They're like, oh my God. I'm like, ugh. I do not like being in the general public. I do not like it. And sometimes I forget that I don't. And then I talk about half the general public. And I'm like, ugh, I don't want to be there.
It is wild to me sometimes that I'm married to a man.
Yes, yes. That is a common theme. All of my married friends, all of them, they're like, if I ever have to do this over again, not with a man. Not with a man. I was like, damn. And then I'm the only single one, and it's a cesspool out here. I'm not kidding. It's a cesspool.
It does not help that all your married friends are bi.
Literally, all of them. All of them.
You just, like, attract bi energy.
I apparently do. I got a sign.
What's that thing that says, like, bi, wife, energy?
Bi, best friend, energy.
Yeah.
That's me.
Okay, that's all we have for you today.
Yeah.
So, we'll be changing things around here for a little bit. So, next week, we'll see you for the first of our book bites. Yeah. Which is small chapter sections of a full-length novel. And we're going to be doing The Awakening Zodiac Academy by Caroline Peckham and something Valente.
Suzanne
Valente.
Mm-hmm.
And the next novella we'll be doing in 2 weeks will be... Hello, it's editing me again. And we said the wrong book. It's actually The Kraken's Sacrifice by Katie Roberts that we will be reading. You don't need to know what the other book was because it was the wrong book. So read the right novella, and we'll see you next week for the first 3 chapters of the Zodiac Academy. I'm very intrigued to try this one.
Me too.
After reading the triathlons. Tentacles and triathlons.
You know I can't say that.
I know, but I couldn't remember the first one.
Ugh.
I'm interested to read another Kraken book. So
that would be my 3rd Kraken book. The first one, there was a pool that was inside and outside in his room. So I am also intrigued.
If I had a dime for every time that I read a Kraken book, I would have 3 dimes. It's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened 3 times.
I'm excited.
All right, that's all for our podcast.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for yapping with us for a little while. We hope you had a nice, relaxing time, and we will see you